Hey Void, how you doing? And yeah, we're finally getting to the screen mirroring. Anyway, finally getting to the dot hack sign. Since I've been doing a lot of other dot hack related things, I decided to do this one also. Now, fun fact: I originally picked up dot hack sign when it was originally airing back when I was a much younger Vivi Rizzo in high school. To the point where I was actually waiting for the next month for the next disc to come out. So, see my last Exile review for me complaining about the prices of individual discs for early 2000s anime, but that was more back in the day. However, I had loaned out my copy of Dot Hack Sign, and unfortunately, it seemed to have gotten lost in the shuffle of my friend moving around. But I finally got around to replacing it. Just a week or two ago, just because doing the reviews for Dot Hack Liminality and was it just Liminality? No, and Legend of the Twilight made me want to rewatch Sign, which is, in my opinion, much better than either of those two. That X Sign is pretty much one of the original video game isekai ones out there. I know it predates Sword Art, it predates Log Horizon. It's the OG here. That said, it definitely is not for everyone, and I've heard if I ever hear someone complaining about Dot Hack Sign, it's the same complaint, and that they find it boring. It's not an action series, despite the characters obviously showing always holding weapons, and a lot of the still shots make it look like it could be a fantasy action film, and it is not. People going into this with the wrong expectations are not prepared for what they're about to get, and that is a very slow moving thing series that's more of an introspective mystery than fantasy action. It's mostly watching people talking about what's going on and trying to they're just talking through things. That said, I love the shit out of this series. The characters are so well defined, and so I could just watch them interacting for several hours, and I kind of did. The relationships are fun and believable, and despite 99% of the series being set in the online game, you get kind of a feel for who these people are in real life and how they're, despite being so different, how they interact with each other. Two of the main characters, one's a high school girl, goes by Mimiru in the game, and the person she's always hanging around, who goes by Bear, is a much older published author. You have people from several walks of life that have come together to try to figure out what is going on. Things kick off with the main character Tsukasa waking up, not quite sure where he is or how he got there, with a slight case of amnesia. He remembers his name, but not exactly much else, and he knows how to operate within the video game called The World, but he got a little puzzled when people mentioned being in front of a terminal, and he discovered he's unable to log out. So he is effectively trapped within this game. Now, the way the game is played is there's usually a headset that you wear that pretty much helps get this full immersion effect, and then you got the controller in your hands. So he's doesn't see, is unable to effectively remove any of that, and is now stuck within the game. And he interacts with people who, well, are trying to figure out what happened to him, as well as get him out, as well as several other disturbances in the world, such as monsters appearing that cannot be killed, an occasional player being knocked into a coma, particularly by the guardian monster that is now following Tsukasa around. Things come to a bit of a head when an unofficial police force in the game, known as the Crimson Knights, begin interfering with Tsukasa, but their leader, Subaru, begins taking an entirely different interest in him as well. So, I love the hell of these characters. Subaru remains one of my favorite anime characters, just in general. Tsukasa, yeah, he's a brat, but especially at the beginning, but he's supposed to be. Yeah. Just watching, I could watch Sora and his sound effects. I haven't touched on Sora. He's one of the a rogue element who's essentially a player killer who's just wants to see what's going on and is just messing with the characters more than having any actual interest in any resolution. He just wants to be entertained by it. There's numerous others as that make up the core group, but those are the ones that kind of stand out for me, though I do have to give a shout out to Krim. He's just also fun to watch with his level of enthusiasm. Would be Subaru's old friend who just recently returned to the game. But her organization isn't a fan of him after he walked out on them. The soundtrack is got to be one of the best soundtracks in anime I've ever heard, and it's whenever I come across any one song about it, it puts the whole soundtrack in my head and will be there for weeks on end. Animation is beautiful. The series, well, I guess the main series itself runs 26 episodes, and then there are two OVAs. So this also pretty much sets up the Dot Hack video game series on the PlayStation 2. The events of this are directly preceding that. As one of the main antagonists in the video game appears in the last episode of this. Well, for the first video game. Dot Hack was divided into 4 parts, which are now very hard to come by. Anyway, the OVAs themselves they're okay. One deals with Mimiru's past interactions and how she got determined to meeting another character who kind of helped formulate how she wanted to interact in the game. It's interesting backstory, but it's nothing special. The other OVA, Unison, actually takes place after the games. It's sort of just like a post-game dance party. It's cute, but largely unnecessary, and some of the scenes are just a little awkward, but it's fine. It's fun. It lets the characters just play off of each other for one more go around. I'm also going to talk about Dot Hack Gift. Now, I forgot about that Gift was actually released in America. I thought it was a Japanese-only release. It was a thank you for purchasing all of 4 Dot Hack games. In America, it was released on the 4th disc of Liminality, which I reviewed that one already, but didn't notice that Gift was on it, so I watched it in terms of this. And really, it's better to watch with Dot Hack Sign anyway, as most of the characters who appear in it are from Sign, but the game appears as well. Now, the art style on Gift is, well, Dot Hack itself is very serious, very somber, it's a slow-moving think piece. Give those creators quite a bit of cocaine, and then they come up with Dot Hack Gift. The animation style is there's super deformed animation, and then there's Gift. It's very twiggy, very angular. The characters are recognizable, but barely, and it's pretty much a wacky hot springs adventure, but done with characters that look almost like stick figures. It's ridiculous, and it is really funny at times, but at the same time, it's a delightful bit of nonsense. Oddly enough, I'd actually put that at the height of the OVAs in relation to Dot Hack Sign, but it's not necessary. But the series itself, was one of the big animes that kept me coming back to anime. I mean, there's plenty of 90s anime that got me here, but Dot Hack Sign was definitely one that got me really paying attention to more newer releases at the time, as I was going in and buying this disc by disc as it came out. I actually was waiting like a couple of extra months for the final disc, and ended up getting the limited edition version of it. I was big into Dot Hack Sign in the day. Still am. It was a delight to see this again. I'm going to give this one a solid 8 MacGuffins. I can understand people not caring for it because of the pacing. You have to be prepared for it. And sometimes a lot of people just think the artwork aren't expecting what they get. But for me, that's never been a problem. I found the mystery and the world building of this utterly hypnotic, so I do highly recommend Dot Hack Sign. Just be ready for it not to be action-oriented. Be ready for a slow burn mystery. You'll be alright. Alright. Good night, everybody.